Here's a little known topic that libertarians probably ignore. We should repeal the 17th Amendment. Now, what the hell's the 17th Amendment, right? This is another one of those things that was passed in the infamous 1913, the bad luck year for the USA. That's all I have to say, man. The bad luck year for it was 1913 for the USA. That was the time we got Woodrow Wilson, which he led us into World War I on the second term. We got the Income Tax Amendment, the 16th Amendment. We got the 17th Amendment, which I'll tell you right now what it is. Direct election, popular election of U.S. senators. It used to be that the state representatives in each state chose the senator to go to the Washington, D.C. Now, you might think that's bad on the surface, but I'll tell you why it's actually good, okay? And one of the biggest indications that it's good is that the big newspapers and all the big financial powers and rags out there, like Forbes, for instance, do not want the 17th Amendment repealed. You know that, like when they passed the 16th Amendment, the Income Tax Act, it was actually pushed by the New York State senator that was related to Rockefeller. I forgot his name, guy's name off the top of my head right now. But it was a big indication that it was for the wealthy, you know, the Income Tax Amendment. And, of course, the Federal Reserve was for the wealthy. But it was always sold to the people as, hey, the Federal Reserve, that was another thing that happened in 1913. It was always sold to the people that, hey, we're going to smooth out the booms and busts in the economy by managing the economy. That's what they told you, right? And the 16th Amendment was, oh, we're going to soak the rich with the freaking income tax, direct taxation of income, which per Constitution was illegal, so you had to have an amendment. And the 17th Amendment, it was, well, why shouldn't you directly choose your senator, right? No. We'll get into that in a second here. But first, we're going to have a little message from the Geronimo Foundation. Just kidding, okay? You know, right here we got the American Native people standing up here on the hill watching the pilgrims coming into the country. They're filthy, disease-ridden invaders, and they're having anchor babies. Does that sound familiar? Ha! Yeah, true. Anyway, and, you know, of course, you know what really killed off most of the Native American peoples? Diseases that were brought here by the white man, like smallpox. And then what did we tell them? Turn in your guns. The government will take care of you. Geronimo, you need to have a national debt holiday after you. I'm serious, man. You know, I almost want to feel like, I throw this in here, but I almost feel like putting out another video. You know, they're talking about Harriet Tubman for like the $20 bill or the $10 bill. You know what? I almost agree with taking off all the presidents, even George Washington, off of all the money. Let's put on like, let's see, Billy the Kid, Jesse James, Geronimo, and we could even put on a $500 bill Al Capone, because he did very well with money, right? So we put him on there, something like that. You know what I mean? People that are fighters and are against the system. 1913, worst year ever, right? The Federal Reserve created the 16th Amendment, which the IRS, they created the 17th Amendment, which is kills states' rights. Okay, now the one thing I'm going to say here, you know, it's actually, let me just say, this is really kind of like the beef with the set. You know, I know there's problems with it. It's not perfect, because the downside of the states choosing the senators is they get involved in like deadlock at the state level, and they wind up delaying sending a state senator to Washington, D.C. That's one problem. And, you know, the deal is, though, and I'll tell you something else it's going to cause after I get into telling you what this is about here first. The intent of the founders in establishing a Senate, the members of which were appointed by the states, was to ensure that the states had the power to act as a counterweight to the potential tyranny of the majority. Popular elected senators weaken the states and do not protect against tyranny of the majority. In other words, democracy is actually evil. We've been taught the other way around. But if you look back in 1920s, even in the Army field manuals they used to give to the soldiers, they would say, we do not have a democracy. Democracy always leads to tyranny. What we have is a constitutional republic. Now they tell you we got a democracy because they're twisting all the words around. That's not what. That's why we've been going downhill. That's why we've been getting involved in foreign wars, which benefit the wealthy. Right? You know that, right? Repealing the 17th Amendment, direct election of senators, U.S. senators, would return the powers back to the states. And, this is another thing, like during the war between the states, there was not direct election of senators. It was another thing that made states more sovereign, which made secession more legal. Not to say that's, well, we'll go into that down that trail because I already went down that trail a lot. But reduce the power of the federal government, which does too many things ineptly, and if you put $10 into the federal government, you get like $2 worth of freaking stuff out of it after they get done passing around forms and taking their time off for lunch and their breaks and all this other crap, right? Also, reducing the size and scope of the federal government could reduce its spending and hence the unsupportable debt, which right now the unsupportable debt is a way that is going to cause the whole United States to be owned by a few rich bastards that are really controlling the Federal Reserve behind the scenes. Okay? that's what's going on. So 1913, unlucky year. Now, this was a clip right out of Forbes. Over the last few years, it's been gaining popularity with conservative proponents of federalism. Now, I don't know how you really want to use that word, but a lot of people think of that word as federalism as power to the federal government. And it doesn't really mean that, but it's cute that they chose that word. Really, the proponents of having the states choose the senators like it used to be before 1913 is to bring back more power division, less power of the federal government and more division of power. Now, I can tell you honestly, I think the states getting stupid too with all their dumb rules, and they're getting overburdened with we're getting overburdened with crap too by the states, which is the state income taxes, which didn't come about until, well, actually, state sales tax came about in the 1930s on 26 states after the Great Depression when the states needed the money. They need the money, so let's take it from the people who don't have the money, right? That's something else they did. So I'm not really like saying states' rights is going to fix everything. It's really like reduction of all government all the way across the board, period. But when you got a big 900-pound gorilla in the room, it's very hard to take care of reduction of government when that 900-pound gorilla is the federal government. When you got 50 little gorillas or something, I don't know what you call them, doggies or something, wild doggies, coyotes or something, and they're all the states. You could pick your coyote and maybe whittle down the power accordingly for one of those, right? When you're dealing with a 900-pound gorilla, you ain't got a chance. So division of powers does have its plus, right? Now I do agree that the states get stupid with rules too. Okay, I don't even know, like the states all survived without an income tax and a sales tax well prior to things that were going on in before the Great Depression, right? Now I'm going to tell you another guy that actually screwed things up too. You believe it or not, is Teddy Roosevelt. I know FDR was a bad guy too. Believe it or not, I know he's like this unsung hero of the Democratic Party. Well, you got George Bush. They're all screwed up, man. They're all screwed up. One of the best presidents we had out there was Grover Cleveland. As a matter of fact, when he had a big downturn in the economy, he refused to bail anybody out. Grover Cleveland. He was like a president in the 1880s or something like that. Abe Lincoln, on the other hand, he was an attorney for all the big railroads. And he was a very smart guy, very eloquent. He's like the best orator of his time, but that doesn't mean he's a good guy. But he was always in with the money. And you know what happened with the railroads? They pushed for the Commerce Act because the Commerce Act stopped competition from coming up from, because it made it more difficult for upstarts to get in on their monopolies. Abe Lincoln was the big attorney for the railroads. Now this guy Teddy Roosevelt, he was a load of crap too. Even though I like him in a lot of ways because he's a big game hunter and he's got the image. But he used to parade around a lot of the American Indian chiefs out there in Washington and things like that, just a showboat. That's really what it was. He wasn't really trying to help them out. He's a big ego guy. And that's 99% of the problem with any leaders. We don't need some big leader out there freaking telling us what to do. But the Progressive Party under Teddy Roosevelt, I'm not talking about FDR, which even was worse. The Progressive Party pushed for a lot of this crap. Even prohibition, for crying out loud. They're ridiculous. So the motto of the day is "Don't tread on me." Now, I like this flag because I don't think of it as heritage, and I don't think of it. I don't even like that saying "heritage, not hate." No, it's about independence and individual rights. That's what the hell it is. And it's like, who the hell put you in charge of me? That's what the hell it means too, right? It's the That's why I kind of like the version with the Gadsden snake with the "Don't tread on me." And some people say, well, the Gadsden snake means this with the Illuminati. Well, whatever, man. I don't know. I don't go down those trails too much with the conspiracies all the way. I know there are conspiracies, but the Gadsden snake is it's a good representation of like how people should be. Don't screw with my stuff, man. You know what that means? And that's really what I like about this flag here. So anyway, that's a lot different from heritage, not hate. I don't think of heritage when I fly that flag. I don't know what the hell they're talking. I mean, yeah, it is my heritage too, but that's like a wham thing. It's actually I'm fighting the system, man. I'm like Geronimo flying the rebel flag, turning your guns. No. Anyway, so anyway, we repeal the 17th Amendment. And what this would also bring about, I should tell you at the end of this, if we had the repeal of the 17th Amendment today, the Senate would be far more Republican than it is today. Now, that's not necessarily good in a lot of ways because I don't really like a lot of Republicans, right? I mean, I never voted for a Democrat, and I really don't like Republicans, and I think some of the libertarians are just a bunch of showboaters. They're too afraid to get in on with the real stuff. Like, if I was a libertarian and I was running for office, one of my platforms would be get rid of that monument of Abe Lincoln and also the other guy, the racist Confederate guy, which is Albert Pike, which was Abe Pike. Abe and Albert, both racist, real close to each other. One's a Union, one's a Confederate. There's the only ones we got in Washington D.C. right near where the judiciary is, which tells you a lot. And you black people understand, I'm really basically on your side, except when you attack me. You understand that? If you attack me, then I'm not on your side, but I am on your side, believe it or not. There's a lot of angles you can freaking do to get, because I'm really, what I am is not really on anybody's side per se. I'm on the individual side. Everybody stands on their own 2 feet. But if you repeal the 17th Amendment, yeah, the Senate would be a lot more Republican. But then again, that's probably not such a bad thing, because the one element of Republicans that I can't stand is that they represent big business. But if you had senators from chosen by each state, they might represent big business only in that state. In other words, you won't have a senator that was packed with a lot of money from like New York City or something, or some oil interest that was elected from South Dakota because he's going to be like in favor of some pipeline. You see what I mean? Even though they'd be more for like the business, they'd be like, in other words, they wouldn't get crap done. They couldn't cooperate with each other, which is good. They'd pass less laws. You see? That's what you want. You want less government, man. That's freaking bullshit. What the hell's the government do, man? I mean, really, what the hell does it do? You need some of it. You need like I don't know. You need an army to defend our borders. That's the one thing the army doesn't do, right? They don't defend our borders. They don't defend our borders. They go everywhere else and kill everybody else for freaking other reasons that they tell them something on the outside what it's for, but you know what the deal is. It's always about money and power for the guys behind the scenes. So anyway, just a little food for thought here. Repeal the 17th Amendment. A lot of people don't even know what the hell it is. It sounds good, but it sounds good just like to repeal what of the 16th Amendment was to the people. All this happened in 1913. The appeal to the 16th Amendment to the people. Who was that guy? That senator starts with an A, I think his name was. He was related to the Rockefellers. He was represented the rich. He was pushing for it. He was saying that the direct tax and income was going to soak the rich. No, it didn't. No, it didn't. It actually soaks the newly rich so they don't get into that class. That's what it does. It actually freaking hammers the crap out of the middle class. And but how it was sold was it soaks the rich. Now, how the Federal Reserve Act was sold, it's going to keep and smooth out the booms and busts in natural cycles in the economy, so we can manage upon economy by tightening the money supply and stimulating with money at times when it's needed. But you know what goes on now? They just bail out the too bigs to fail, right? Now, that's how it was sold to the people, as to smooth out the booms and busts and steady the economy and stimulate growth on a steady basis. That's how they sold it, but it wasn't true. Now, they sold this repeal. They sold this, not repeal. They sold the 17th Amendment direct election of senators as, you people have the right to do this, and you should elect them. You know, it gives you more voice in the government. That's how they sold it. But the reality of it is, it takes away, the senators are still elected by the money, because nobody gets to run for Senate unless they got a lot of backing. And what's going on is, you got out-of-state people backing people in other states. Like, in other words, if it's the oil interest got, to want to back a senator coming out of South Dakota because he's going to put a pipeline in there, oh, they'll throw all kinds of money into that guy. And he'll get all these stuff out there, and he'll lie, and he'll say, oh, I love the Lakota American peoples, and yeah, you know what I mean. And then he'll get elected, and he'll vote for the pipeline, as an example, right? But if he was chosen directly from the legislature, state legislators of Dakotas, of North and South Dakota, you know what would happen, right? It'd be more likely he's going to do in the interest of the Dakotas, which might be the oil companies up there too, which maybe you're screwed anyway, but you know what I mean. You're not going to get as much outside influence. And it also makes it very difficult to pass more legislation, which is good. Why do people think, why do they think the federal government, so why do people think that today? That's like a lot of people got it in their head, their condition. The federal government is here to help us. They're out to save us. It wasn't for them, we couldn't live. Bullshit. For every $10 you put into them, you get $2 out. Or the way the federal government's being funded today is all by debt. And when that debt bomb is blowing up, we're going to be in such a hurt locker, it's beyond belief. They're not going to be leaving taxes, because unless they freaking confiscate all the freaking land in the United States or something and enslave all the people. Well, they might do that. I don't know. Who the hell knows what the New World Order's got up their sleeves? But just remember, Geronimo, the government will take care of you. No, he won't. No, they won't. And I just want to remind people, you remember who got Geronimo's skull and who stole that? Prescott Bush. The same guy that was involved in that banking escapade with Nazi money during the time of, and he got slammed for, what do you call it? Trading with the enemy or something like that back in World War II. Remember that? Geronimo's a hero. I think Geronimo ought to be on a $10 bill or something like that. We can have Jesse James on a 5 and, I don't know, Billy the Kid on a 1. Al Capone on 100. I don't know, maybe because there's not too many 500s out there. Al Capone, man of the people, the man that fought the freaking prohibition with free entrepreneurship, right? Now you see where I'm coming from, right? Now, how many people on YouTube say this stuff? Nobody, right? Now, you know what YouTube's going to do? They're going to bury this video. They're going to say, if you do a Google search on this video, it's going to come down on page 25. That's what they're going to do. Anyway, YouTube, I'm still on your side more or less. You guys are freaking. You gotta pump my channel up a little bit, because I got some angles, man. And by the way, you Mr. and Mrs. YouTube, if you want to live a long time, you better look at my health stuff, because I'm gonna tell you right now, I know a lot of crap that these jerks don't know, and I'm gonna throw some more on here pretty soon. Over and out.